Hello, and welcome to your TelNexa Yealink user training. So what is TelNexa? TelNexa, powered by NexLine Communications, is a cloud-based communications platform. Now, that's a lot of buzzy words that basically means that we are leveraging your internet service in order to provide you with your phone services. And that phone service can be further enhanced with chat, SMS, and video conferencing. This also allows us to provide an enterprise-wide solution that can support multiple locations on one system. And even with all of that, we think that you will find the TelNexa platform to be very easy to use. Some key features that our customers tend to get excited about include Caller ID. Caller ID name and number is fully supported by the TelNexa platform. Additionally, caller ID information has the potential to follow the call if transferred to another extension or even an outside number. User-controllable call routing means that a decision can be made for each individual extension as to what happens when that extension is called. By default, we're usually ringing a phone and then going to voicemail, but maybe you need to ring a group of phones. Maybe you want calls to go to your cell phone. Maybe you'd like to screen calls, and so on. We have a number of features available, and that can all be decided on a case-by-case basis. Voicemail to email is fully supported, and we'll be discussing that a little later on. And we have multiple phone options available, including not just a number of desk and cordless phones, but also a web browser-based phone and an app that is available for both Android and iOS. Your phone may look a little different than this, but most things will be the same. This here is the Yealink T46S, which we will be using for illustrative purposes. On either side of your phone's display, you are going to see a number of buttons. These are programmable buttons that can be used in a myriad of ways. Even though this T46S has 10 physical buttons, it's actually a 27-button phone. That 10th button on the lower right can become a page key, giving you up to 3 pages of 9 buttons for a total of 27. A few of those buttons are going to be pre-programmed for you. The first few buttons are line appearances. These are where active calls will land. The number of line appearances on your phone determines how many simultaneous calls your phone can support. Other buttons are used for park keys, speed dials, and busy lamps. We will discuss park later, and there are articles on our support site to help with speed dials. Underneath the display, you will see 4 buttons that we call soft keys. They're called soft keys because they are software driven. Those 4 buttons correspond with the labels shown on the bottom of the phone's display, which change depending on what the phone happens to be doing. An idle phone like the one being shown here will have options like page and directory and do not disturb. However, a ringing phone is going to show different options like answer or silence. When you're talking on the phone, you're going to see transfer, hold, and conference, and so on. So pay attention to that bottom row. There's a lot of power under those soft keys with a lot of features being presented to you. Also, keep in mind that they are always changing, so you're not going to see all options at all times. On the left, we have the numeric keypad. I really hope we don't have to go further into those. The directional pad is used to navigate the phone's menu and select various options. Some of these buttons also have secondary functions. Pressing up on an idle phone will show your call history, and pressing down is a shortcut to your contact directory. Pressing the OK button will display information about your phone, such as its current IP address, and that X button is a shortcut for initiating an intercom call. Like the soft keys, the function of the volume button can also change depending on what the phone is doing. Pressing up-down on an idle phone will change the ring volume. Pressing the buttons while on a call will adjust the handset or speakerphone volume, and pressing them while receiving a page will change the page volume. At the top of the phone, you have your message waiting indicator, or blinky-blinky as I like to call them. This indicator will light up if you have voicemails or if the phone has any missed calls. Voicemails will be further indicated by an envelope in the display, and missed calls is illustrated with a bent arrow. And to clear up any confusion, missed calls is just the phone telling you that it rang, but the call wasn't answered on that phone. It doesn't necessarily mean the call was missed. It may have been answered at another phone or by voicemail. If a call is programmed to ring on 3 phones simultaneously, for example, well, you can only answer it on one of those phones, so at least 2 phones are going to show as having a missed call. Just press the up arrow to display your call history, and that will clear the indicator. And going down the right, you will find a series of buttons that are not available on all phones. If you are a person that likes to use a headset, you can plug one into the bottom of the phone and press that headset button to get dial tone. The microphone with a line through it is your mute button. The envelope button is a shortcut to voicemail, which we will be discussing later. Hold and transfer buttons are available on some phones. Those features are also shown as soft keys. The redial button quickly gets you to your recently called list, and the speakerphone button lets you make or answer calls with the speakerphone function. Your Yealink phone is basically a computer. The phone needs to be connected to your network just like your PCs and printers. Because it's on the network, you don't necessarily need to call the phone guy to move wires around the next time you're juggling desks around. When you're packing up your computer, take your phone with you. Plug it in, and it will still know what extension it was assigned. As long as you give the phone's internet access and power, it should be good to go. If you flip the phone over, you're going to see two network connections. The one that is marked Internet is the one that needs to be connected to your network. The other jack can be used to connect a PC or printer, so with one network jack, you can connect both your phone and your computer. Now that we've gotten some of that out of the way, let's talk about how to use the phones. If your phone is ringing, there is no need to panic. While your phone is ringing, simply pick up the handset or press the speakerphone or headset button to answer the call. You don't have to press any line appearances or anything else, just grab the handset. If your neighbor's phone is ringing and you'd like to be a nice person and answer that call, you can do so by dialing *8 plus the extension of the ringing phone and then press the send soft key. Please note that this only works if a single phone is ringing. If a group of phones is ringing, you must be part of that group in order to answer the call. To place a call, simply pick up the handset or press the speakerphone or headset button and then dial your extension or outside phone number. There are a few simple rules for phone numbers. First, you must dial the area code. Now, most of us in the United States have to do that already, but even if you're in an area that allows 7 digits for local calls, the area code is required on the TelNexa platform. A leading one is entirely optional. If you dial 1-800 blah blah blah, that's fine, but just dialing 800, etc. will work as well. And there is no 9 or anything else in order to get out of the phone system. If you are dialing anything other than an outside phone number, like an extension or star access code, when you are finished, press the send soft key. Pressing send tells the phone that you are finished dialing and to fire away. And if you think about the rules for calling out, that kind of makes sense. If I start dialing 212, the phone doesn't know if I'm calling someone in Manhattan or trying to call extension 212. 212 send. That's the extension. Now, the system will fire the phone if you wait long enough, but you'll probably just want to get into the habit of pressing that send key. You can also make an intercom call to another extension. With an intercom call, the other extension will ring once and then automatically go into speakerphone mode. So be sure the other person is going to appreciate the intrusion before you make that intercom connection. To make an intercom call, press the X button on the phone and then dial the extension or press their BLF. You can also make an intercom call on a phone without that X button by dialing *1 plus the extension. Once you have a call, there are a number of different things that you can do to move the call around, which we will be discussing on the next 4 slides. I stuck this slide here because I often got a lot of questions on the first slide that got answered by the 4th, so please bear with me. I'm going to be talking about how to transfer a call using both a blind and a supervised transfer. I'll talk about hold, which is personal and private, and then I'll be discussing park, which is kind of a system-wide hold. First, we'll talk about transfer. In the phone business, there are 2 basic types of transferring, blind and supervised. A blind transfer is the most popular, it's the most common, and also the default on your Yealink phone. A blind transfer is when you just want to transfer the call on and get on with your day. You're not overly worried about what happens to the call next. It's going to ring phones, go to voicemail, etc. You just want to transfer the call and move on to your next task. To perform a blind transfer, while you're on an active call, just press the transfer button or soft key. Then dial the extension or phone number you're transferring to and hit transfer again. That's it. If, however, you want to speak to the other person before connecting the call to them, that's a supervised transfer. Hi there, I have a caller here that wants to talk about some things. I'm patching them through now. Something like that. To perform a supervised transfer, you'll again press transfer, dial the phone number or extension, and then press pound. As soon as you press pound, the phone will call the second person while the initial call is on hold. After you say what you need, press transfer again to connect the call. 2 notes on all of this. First of all, you may have noticed me say that you can transfer to either an extension or an outside phone number, and that is completely true. It's the same procedure for both. Secondly, if you perform a blind transfer, the original caller's caller ID number will follow the call, even if you're transferring to a cell phone or the like. That was impossible in the traditional phone world, so it can be an exciting change. Now, in a supervised transfer, however, the original caller's caller ID will be lost. You can also transfer a call directly into someone's voicemail. This is obviously useful if you know the person isn't in their office, or if they said something like, if that person calls, just dump them in my mailbox. To transfer to voicemail, initiate a blind transfer, but insert a star after the extension. So it's transfer, extension, star, transfer. And a quick pro tip to this, if you want to just leave someone a message without actually ringing their phone, simply dial the extension plus star, then hit send, of course. Hold. Hold is personal. Hold is private. If you place a call on hold, no one else is going to be able to grab that call unless they actually go to your phone to do it. So if you need to grab a file or talk to someone down the hall, but you're coming back to your desk, hold is perfect. While you're on an active call, simply press the hold button or soft key. The caller will hear your telephone system's music on hold in their ear, and you'll see the line appearance button on your phone lit red. Press that red line appearance, and you've got the call back. However, if you wish to place a call on hold and pick it up at another phone, that's where the Park system comes into play. You can think of Park as a system-wide hold. It's a place to stick a call so it can be retrieved from somewhere else. In most of our implementations, we will program one or more Park buttons on all of the desk phones. Now, the Park locations and the number of assigned buttons can vary between organizations and sites, but the principles will remain the same. To park a call, simply press one of your unlit Park buttons while you're on an active call. As soon as you press that button, the caller will hear music on hold in their ear, you'll hear dial tone in your ear, and the Park button will be lit red on your phone along with any others that have that Park location programmed on it. You can then go to any of those phones, press the red Park button, and you've retrieved the call. You can retrieve the call from a phone without that Park location, such as a conference or remote phone, by dialing star 71 plus the Park location. So it would be star 711 to grab Park 1, star 712 for Park 2, etc. Please note that the caller ID information is lost once a call is parked. Your Yealink phones support multicast paging. This allows you to broadcast a one-way audio announcement to all phones on the same network, and possibly also to an overhead paging system if things have been set up that way. To initiate a multicast page, press the Page soft key on an idle phone. You can then select to make it priority or emergency page if necessary, or just press paging again and pick up the handset to make your announcement. Hang up when you're done. Yealink phones support three-way calling, and creating a conference call couldn't be easier. While you are on an active call, press the Conference soft key. Once you have dial tone in your ear, call and connect with the second person, and then press Conference again. It's as simple as that. Do Not Disturb. Do Not Disturb is the feature that tends to create the most excitement in many of my training sessions. However, it can also be a gotcha if you aren't aware of it. Do Not Disturb puts your phone into a busy state, which is important to note because we can route calls differently if your phone is busy rather than just not answered. By default, calls will flow to your voicemail if your phone is busy. Do Not Disturb is a toggle. Press the DND soft key once to turn it on. Press it again to turn it off. Do Not Disturb is indicated by either a Do Not Enter symbol on phones with color displays or by the letters DND on phones with grayscale displays. I point all of this out because at least once a month, our support staff receives a call that someone's extension isn't working because all calls are going directly to voicemail. In many, many cases, it is simply because someone was moving things around on the desk and accidentally bumped the DND button. So, if your phone isn't ringing like you think it should be, the very first thing you should do is double check that it hasn't been set for Do Not Disturb. Now, let's talk briefly about voicemail. There are a number of ways to check your voicemail. If you are at your desk phone, you can just press the envelope button. The system will ask for your password, which you can enter followed by pound. You can check voicemail from any phone by dialing star plus your extension number. The system will ask for your password, which again you can enter followed by pound. If your system is designed to answer calls with an auto attendant, then you can check voicemail from anywhere. Call one of your phone numbers that is answered by an auto attendant, and when you hear the greeting, press pound. The system will ask for your mailbox, which you can enter, followed by your password, which you enter, followed by pound. However, we're seeing fewer and fewer people checking messages that way because we fully support voicemail to email. If an email address has been assigned to your voicemail box, anytime you receive a voicemail, we will email you a copy of that voicemail. That email is going to contain the caller ID information, it will include timestamp information, it will let you know which mailbox received the message in case you're like me and have to monitor several mailboxes, and it will contain the voicemail as a sound file attachment. This sound file can then be played on your smartphone, saved to your PC, or forwarded to another email address. Please keep in mind that we are emailing a copy, so if you delete the email, you still have the message in your voicemail system, and you delete the voicemail from our system, does not delete your email. As a side note, we do also offer voicemail transcription as a premium feature to allow you to actually read your received voicemails. The very first time you log into a new voicemail box, you will be asked to set up your mailbox. You will be asked to do 4 things: record your name, record an unavailable and busy greeting, and change your security code. Let me comment briefly on each of these steps. The recorded name is used by the system's dial by name directory feature and for call screening. Just say your name. The busy greeting is misnamed. It's not really a busy greeting as the system does not use it as such. Odds are incredibly likely that no one will actually ever hear this greeting, but you need to record it so the system stops bugging you. So I advise people to just record the same greeting twice and move on. If you ever want to change your greeting, just worry about the unavailable message. And then the security code. Your default security code is your extension number. So if you're sitting at extension 105, your default security code is also 105. But the system's going to ask you to change it. There are only 2 rules for these passwords. First, it must be 3 or 4 digits. If you enter more than 4 digits, the system will seem to accept it, but it only actually heard the first 4. The security code should also be something other than your extension number. If you set it as your extension number, the system again will accept it, but it'll ask you to change it when you next log in. As I mentioned towards the beginning of this training session, we have other options for making and receiving calls in addition to a traditional desk or cordless phone. These include the Teams UC client and TelNexa mobile app. We will be posting additional videos about these applications, but briefly, Teams UC is a robust softphone that works in most modern web browsers like Chrome or Firefox. With Teams UC, you can make and receive calls just as if you were sitting at your desk phone. If your desk phone were to ring for any reason while you're logged into Teams, it will ring on Teams as well. With Teams UC, you can chat with other Teams users as well as view their presence settings. There is video conferencing capabilities that will soon be greatly enhanced due to some recent acquisitions. And Teams UC will also let you see your complete call history, and it is another great method for managing your voicemails. TelNexa mobile app has some similar functionality, but it's an app running on your Android or iOS device. TelNexa mobile app lets you also make and receive calls through the phone system. Since it's using your data plan, you can limit how you'd like to handle incoming calls. Maybe you'd only like to handle them while you're on Wi-Fi or not at all. Mobile app is a quick and easy way to manage call forwarding or do not disturb, and also has a great voicemail management tool. To access Teams UC or to make changes to your phone system settings, you can log into the TelNexa portal at this URL, http://pureedgevoip.com. Please note that Pure Edge is 2 words, so there are 2 E's in the middle there. Also notice there is no www. That will give you a 404 not found. Speak with your system administrator for your login credentials. Thank you for your time. I would encourage you to review the other articles we have posted on our support site, and we thank you for joining the NexLine family.